Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Film Recaps, the channel dedicated to providing you with the highlights of your favorite movies. In this episode, we're delving into I.S.S., a captivating sci-fi thriller directed by Gabriela Cowperthwaite and written by Nick Shafir. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. The movie begins with some title cards that tell us the backstory of the International Space Station, or I.S.S. It was built after the Cold War by the U.S. and Russia as a joint project for scientific research and cooperation. The only way to get there is by using the Soyuz rocket. Soyuz rocket, present day. We meet our main characters, Dr. Kira Foster and Christian Campbell, two astronauts who are on their way to the I.S.S. They are congratulated by their colleagues on the ground for becoming real astronauts. As they approach the station, Campbell tells Kira that the Russians have a tradition of knocking 3 times on the hatch to signal that they are ready to enter. He also mentions that he has 2 daughters, one of whom is giving him the silent treatment because she's a teenager. Kira and Campbell enter the station and are greeted warmly by the other crew members. They are Kira's boss Gordon Barrett, the Russian commander Veronika Nikovetrov, and the Russian brothers Nikolai Pilou and Alexei Pilou. They all smile for a group photo on the camera screen. Kira chats with Nika and is amazed that Nika has been on the station for 50 days. Nika tells her that the most important thing up there is to stick together as a team. Kira gets a brief tour from Gordon, who shows her where to find her belongings and her sleeping pod. He warns her that sleeping in zero gravity can be tricky at first. Some people prefer to use a sleeping bag, while others like to float freely in their pods. He suggests that she tries the sleeping bag until she gets used to it. Gordon also tells her that she can video chat with anyone from home if she wants to. Kira avoids the topic and says she doesn't have anyone to call. Gordon points out the constant humming noise they hear and explains that it's the life support system. He says that if they don't hear it, they're in big trouble. Gordon shows her the workstation and the lockboxes where they keep their research materials. Kira is eager to start her work and takes out some mice to put in a cage for her experiments. She meets Alexei, who tells her that they will be working closely together for a while. Kira says she has read his papers and asks him about the outcomes of his previous experiments. Alexei says they have not been successful, meaning a lot of dead mice. Later, Kira joins the crew for some fun and relaxation. She watches Christian play with a drill that can shoot fire. She sees Nikolai working out. Later, the crew has dinner together and chats. Gordon tells Nika that he would love to visit Siberia someday. The song Winds of Change by Scorpions plays on the speakers and Gordon makes a bad joke about it, which angers Alexei, who says the song was very meaningful to him when he was growing up. The tension is quickly resolved. Christian gives the crew some gifts: candy, a drawing from Nika's nieces, and a necklace made from space tether for Kira. Nikolai brings out a bottle of alcohol and is about to show them how to open it properly, when Kira accidentally opens it the wrong way, causing bubbles of alcohol to float around the room. The crew laughs and enjoys the moment. The movie continues with Kira being invited to see the viewing deck by the other crew members. Christian says they don't have much to look forward to, and this is one of the highlights. Kira agrees and follows them to a chamber with a large window that shows the whole Earth. Kira is amazed but also calm as the others talk about the overview effect and how she is one of only 500 people who have ever seen the world like this. Kira can't help but smile. Later that night, Kira tries to sleep but is restless in the bag. As she is about to leave her pod, she is startled by Nika. Nika helps her back into the bag and straps her in. Nika says that one of the drawbacks of space is the lack of being held and other intimacy. The next morning, Kira and the others wake up and do their tasks. Christian says the computers are down so they can't send messages out. Kira checks on the mice and sees that they have attacked each other. She is shocked and wonders why. Going up to the viewing deck, Kira is horrified to see what look like several eruptions across Earth. After a few moments, she realizes that this is not a natural phenomenon. Explosions are happening everywhere on Earth. Both crews start to panic and call for help from their respective mission control. Christian is worried about his daughters, while Nika is worried about her nieces. Nika goes to talk to Alexei, apparently secretly, but only to tell him that she hid a bottle of vodka under one of the consoles. Gordon is at the computer when a message from Mission Control finally comes through, for his eyes only. He learns that the US and Russia are at war, with the involvement of other countries unknown. Nikolai is at his station, getting orders from his government. Gordon gets his final directive: he is to take the station from the Russians by any means necessary. Gordon can only ask himself why, and hides the orders from Kira and Christian for now. Around that time, the station powers down unexpectedly, before rebooting. When they get a chance to talk privately, Kira and Christian learn the truth and are terrified. Christian quickly figures out that the Russians probably got similar orders as well. Nika comes up to them, telling them they have a big problem. It turns out the station has lost its propulsion and is falling out of orbit. They have a day before the entire station will burn up in the atmosphere. Without getting a message through to get a boost in propulsion, the 6 of them will be dead within a day. Someone suggests the Soyuz rocket, but there isn't enough room for everyone and they are not ready to make that decision yet. Kira sends out a message, requesting propulsion, hoping Mission Control will receive it. Gordon is told that an antenna outside the station is damaged and needs to be fixed. Though suspicious, he volunteers to go out and repair it. Gordon suits up while Christian quietly expresses his concerns. Nika comes up to Gordon and double-checks his suit and kisses him passionately, revealing that they are lovers. Gordon tries to reassure Kira and Christian. "I trust Veronica, I trust all of them," Gordon says. Gordon goes outside the station into space. As he gets his bearings, he sees the Earth is now the color of bright red, meaning massive parts of the world, including the US, have been completely destroyed. Talking to Kira on comms, he orders her to keep everyone away from the windows. Seeing the reality of their situation could break their already fragile bond they have. Christian and Alexei talk, the latter complaining about CO2 poisoning and a headache he is having. Christian is tense and paranoid. And he has a good reason to be. As Gordon travels to the antenna, Kira asks him about Nika. After some prodding, he admits that he didn't know her before the station and fell for her after a night of bad karaoke. The movie goes on with Alexei opening a panel and looking at a bunch of wires. He is about to cut one but hesitates. Meanwhile, Gordon asks Kira about her life, how she went from a biologist to the Marine Corps to being an astronaut. Kira says she spent 7 years working with her girlfriend/fiancé and her best friend on organ replacement science after losing her father years before waiting for a donor. Kira says she doesn't have her fiancé anymore because she cheated on her with her best friend, breaking her heart. "Trust isn't my strong suit," Kira says. She is alone and has buried herself in her work to cope. Alexei cuts the wire. That cuts the communication between Kira and Gordon. Gordon is almost at the antenna but can't communicate with Kira. He realizes he can't reach the next section without detaching himself from his tether. He unhooks and makes a leap of faith. Gordon notices that a grabber arm is moving and tries to communicate that he doesn't need it. When he gets to the antenna, he sees that it is perfectly fine. He realizes it was a trap and the Russians set him up. The grabber arm spins in a circle and hits him off the station, seemingly killing him. We see that Nikolai was controlling it, having also gotten orders to take the station by any means necessary. Not being able to contact Gordon or see him outside, Kira and Nika start to panic. They suit up to see if he is still connected to his tether and are horrified to see that he is not. Both Kira and Nico want to go out and find Gordon, but their respective crew members tell them Gordon is dead. Nika confronts Alexei and Nikolai and learns the truth about what happened. Heartbroken and horrified, she swears to tell the others what they did. No one deserves what you did to Gordon. No one, Nika says. Nika breaks down, crying over the loss of Gordon. Christian calls Kira aside and tells her that it is obvious that what happened to Gordon was no accident, and he needs to be sure she is with him. Kira asks if what really happened wasn't an accident. What should they do? Nika tells Kira she needs to talk to her alone, saying she needs her help. Nika wants Kira's lockbox key and will give hers in exchange. Kira claims to have lost it, and Nika scoffs. As she goes to leave, Kira tells her the truth, that they got orders to take the station too. Nika, satisfied, tells her to raid Alexei's box, which contains samples that could be used to treat radiation poisoning. Whatever nation takes over the station will have the research and will use the potential power of saving lives as the ultimate bargaining chip. Nika wants lives to be saved, so she tells Kira to take the samples and leave in the Soyuz rocket. Nika will cause a distraction to buy time until they can be rescued. I'm helping you because you told the truth. Your job is more important, Nika says. The two trade keys. Nika tells Kira to work fast. Nika grabs the drill/fire gun and turns on pure oxygen in one of the chambers. Nikolai and Alexei confront her. Angry over losing Gordon and horrified at how they went from friends to enemies, she wants to end things quickly by using the drill to ignite the oxygen. The three are caught in a standoff. Kira goes to the research lab with Christian. Saying she is looking for the zero node, Christian tells her there is no such thing. Kira thinks Nika lied to her and goes to find her. As Alexei and Nikolai try to talk Nika down, Kira and Christian sneak up behind her. Having no choice, Christian smashes a tank in the back of her head, killing her. Alexei and Nikolai are devastated as Christian tries to tell them he had no choice. Alexei and Nikolai mourn Nika. Kira tries to deny her death, but Christian knows he crushed her skull with the hit. He tells Kira he just wants to go home to his kids. Nikolai tells his brother that he is finishing it. Alexei asks him what he means. You know what I mean, Nikolai says. Nikolai tells his brother that the Americans killed their friend. We killed our friend. Alexei shouts. Nikolai tells him he is a good son and a good brother. He leaves him to track down and kill Kira and Christian. Alexei screams his brother's name and mourns Nika. We see more shots of the world in flames. Alexei finds the bottle Nika hid and drinks heavily. Looking at the monitor, he calls out Gordon's name. He is still alive. Using the grabber arm, he brings him back inside. Kira and Christian hide in the luggage from Nikolai. Kira tries to evade him but is seen by Alexei, who calls her aside. Nikolai calls out to Kira and Christian, lying that Nika is only injured and can be healed and they should try to work things out. Finding Christian, Nikolai attacks him but is stopped by Gordon, who asks where Nika is. Realizing she is dead, the enraged Gordon fights Nikolai in a locked hallway. Attacking Nikolai with a drill, Gordon grapples with him, only to have the drill taken from him. Nikolai impales Gordon with the drill. Gordon, with the last of his strength, grabs a screwdriver that Nikolai had and pierces his neck in turn. Both die, their bodies floating in the hallway. Alexei, Christian, and Kira, who had tried to stop them, force the door open too late. The remaining three bundle up their dead friends and sleeping bags and mourn them. They then proceed to mourn privately. The world continues to burn. Looking around the station, Kira notices a sign that says Node 0. Realizing Nika was telling the truth about the samples, Kira goes to Christian's quarters to tell him, only to find the samples and a Soyuz suit. Christian knew about them all along and is now planning to sell them out. The life support ventilation goes out. Kira finds Christian and Alexei making food. Christian is tense, waving around a knife, and reveals Nika told him to leave them behind with the samples, but claims to have forgiven her. He notes that some of them will become heroes despite this horrific incident. Kira realizes that Christian has gone mad, perhaps realizing his family is dead, and having nothing else, wants to escape the station the only way he knows how. She points to Alexei, who turns off the music that was playing, and he realizes the life support is off. Kira pretends to make a sandwich. She taps the condiment bottle 3 times to tell Alexei subtly that she is on his side. Kira asks to use Christian's knife, which he initially refuses, before agreeing, owing it to CO2 sickness. Christian asks to talk to Kira alone. As Alexei goes to leave, Kira tells him in Russian something Nika once said, that the most important thing is they stick together. Christian asks Alexei to leave again. Kira repeats the statement. Realizing he is found out, Christian admits he disabled the life support, but he can reverse it. So can I, Alexei replies. Grabbing the knife, Christian stabs Alexei through the hand. Despite the pain, Alexei holds him tight, while Kira uses the necklace Christian gave her as a garrote, choking him to death. It takes several moments, but Christian dies, as the 2 remaining astronauts float with his dead body, devastated. Kira bandages up Alexei's stabbed wound. As they sit in the viewing chamber, the message request for propulsion boost is seen and acknowledged, getting them out of immediate danger. Communications on both sides return, with their respective governments asking if they have taken control of the station. Angry and disillusioned by their selfish governments, the 2 ignore the messages and use the Soyuz rocket to leave the station with Alexei's research. As they leave the station, plummeting into free fall back to Earth, Alexei asks a pertinent question, given that most of the world has apparently been destroyed and their respective governments are at the precipice of collapse. Where are we going? Alexei asks. I don't know, Kira replies.